Keegan, and I hope you have been enjoying the thrifty week of cooking that we have been doing. I hope as well that you've taken away some hints and tips to help you not only with your Thermomix, but to see how Thermomix can save you money at the checkout and mean that you've got more cash in your back pocket at the end of the day. There are so many ways that the Thermomix helps us, from the meal planning to the shopping list, and today we're taking it one step further and we're going completely meat-free, doing a menu item that then is really made with pretty much what you've got in your pantry, which is pretty cool. And I bet you most of you have these in your pantry already. So it's a vegan macaroni and cheese. Little few changes I'm going to make because I want to use what's in my pantry. My groceries for this week's cooking, which I shared with you beginning of the week, actually came to less than $30. Now it did help that I had a freezer full of meat already that we buy when we see it marked down. So we'll actually buy it then at the end of its life, so to speak, and we put it in the freezer so we can get it out, defrost it, semi-defrost it, and use it straight away. So that also helped. But with that, if I had to buy that meat at the moment with the current prices, it still would have cost me $62 for all of the bits and pieces required for this week's menu if I took out the pantry stuff. So the pantry items this week, I assume that most of you have a fairly okay stocked pantry. You'd have flour, you'd have butter, those sorts of things. So that's what I'm assuming. And if you do, that's the beauty of it, right? A $60 a week. That's pretty cool if you're buying the meat as well. So let's get started with this vegan mac and cheese today. I'm so excited because it's also packed full of veggies. How cool is that? So let's get started. You'll see it is from the US because it's in ounces. No big deal, okay? First thing it tells us to do is weigh cashews in and then soak them. Little cheat tip is put boiling water on instead, and then it just takes about 5 minutes to soak instead. Then it says to drain them and set them aside. We'll need them in the second step today. So then it asks for some potatoes peeled and cubed. Now I put my potatoes into the Thermomix and I used my blade cover beforehand. These were dirty potatoes. These were the red ones covered in dirt. And the beauty of the peeler mode is that you can put them in, red dirt and all, and they come out peeled and clean. How good is that? So, those bags, often you can buy a 5 kilo or a 10 kilo bag, and the per kilo rate is so much cheaper. I would highly suggest always checking that little bit on the bottom that tells you how much per kilo it is for what you are buying. That is a big tip, especially when you're comparing sometimes the individual pickup of an item to a bag of items. Always read the how many per 100 grams or per kilo it is, okay, the dollars. So, peeler mode, dirty potatoes, come out clean and ready to go. So let's put them in. How cool is that? All right, close enough. Next up, carrots. Again, we're not going to waste anything because we don't want to, right? Tops, tails, skins, in they go. Wash them if you'd like. Perfectly fine. Grow them if you can. Our carrots come out funny shapes, which is perfect for anything like this. So there we go. Oh, that was spot on. Nice. Onions in pieces, 4 ounces. So I actually had onions in the back of the fridge, leftovers from other things we've made. So I've actually raided those. So I love the fact that you can really literally use whatever you've got. Close enough there. It says shallots, don't have them. I probably have some in the garden, but I'm just going to skip them out. Because this isn't US, I'm kind of not sure what they're asking for anyway. So we're just going to completely skip it. And then some water. So kind of what we're making here is a vegetable-based white sauce. Because if you think of mac cheese, that's what it is, right? It's that beautiful creamy sauce on pasta. Now talking about pasta, I'll just get this on here because I'm not very good at counting and measuring. I've got my pasta cooking, and I've actually not done little macaroni pasta because we do gluten-free pasta, which yes, costs a little bit more, but it keeps our tummies a bit happier here. And I just cook it. I'm pushing the wrong thing here. I actually cook it in my thermoserver. Now, thermoservers are amazing. You can get one from hosting a demonstration if you live in Australia. I can jump online and show you the Thermomix with a couple of your friends online. You just need 2, and you can get yourself one of these discounted or free if a friend is ready to buy. Now, what are they? They're an insulated little container. This is 2.2 litres. It's an old school one. The new ones are 2.6. They've got a base, but it's like a thermos. So in here at the moment, and I can't show you because but it's actually really nice and warm, which is great because it's about 15 degrees here at the moment. But inside, I have got water, boiling water on top of pasta, and I've just used spirals today, I think is what I put in there. I'll show you at the end when we come back at the next step. And my packet says it needs 12 to 15 minutes to cook them, so that's how they're going to be done. Now I will link a video to show you how to do that. I've done videos on how to cook pasta in here. You can also do white rice. Can't do brown rice, okay, guys? I've tried. I did it at a demo recently and it didn't cook. It loses too much heat by that half an hour mark. It kind of bomb dives, whereas being 12 to 15 minutes, it's still boiling in there. It's still rapidly boiling and sucking that water in, which is awesome. But I will show you that when we come back in 20 minutes and I will show you the final product. It's so toasty and warm though. By the way, the thermo servers don't get that hot that they actually get you because there's an air pocket between them, okay? So I can pick this up comfortably. I could put it on a table and it wouldn't be an issue. Okay, so we've got a 20-minute cook time. You'll see it's in Fahrenheit, so it's 212 Fahrenheit, doesn't matter. It's just gonna bring it to the boil and it's gonna cook it a bit like a soup. Before we then add our soaked cashews, so if you haven't done them or you don't have them, just put some boiling water. If you can't have cashews, put sunflower seeds instead. This is purely a thickener in this recipe. The one tricky ingredient you'll need later is nutritional yeast. Now, I've touched on this earlier in the week when we made something delicious and I used this instead of Parmesan. What was it? Can't even remember. That's terrible. Anyway, I used it instead of Parmesan in that dish. Amazing cheese replacement. It can stay then in your fridge or pantry. I can actually keep mine in the freezer in this glad bag. So we're going to need that later. Some Dijon, it says vegan, vegan, I'm thinking butter, but margarine. I don't have that. And I reckon that sounds expensive. It may not be, but it sounds expensive. I'm just going to use butter because I'm not a vegan. Okay, so that's my replacement in there. It says some salt. I'm going to use veggie stock and I need some lemon, which I actually have some old lemons I'm going to use. And it says paprika and pepper, like really easy. So I'm going to come back in 20 minutes and I'll take you through the next step of this. So I'm spinning this up to speed 1 and it's going to make soup of those veggies. So I will see you guys in 20 minutes for the next step. So see you soon. Okay, it is done as 20-minute cook time. It's time to Nelly turn it into the beautiful sauce. So what's happened in here is it's just cooked them all off, really. Everything in there's floating around in what looks like a starchy water bath in there. So drained cashews, don't forget to drain them. They go in. And as I made mention, I shortcutted that by boiling the jug and just putting that over them before I preheated my thermo server for the pasta. Okay, a little bit of boiling water. Gave it about 2 minutes, tipped it out, drained it, happy days. All right, margarine. This is where I am using the butter. I don't know if you could leave it out. I did think about using coconut oil. However, coconut oil isn't cheap either. And this is really about being thrifty. So I thought, oh, you know, what's the cheapest thing I've got? And butter's actually the cheapest thing I've got. So yes, it's not vegan. Oh, it's melting on top of the lid. But it's what I have. I'll just lift that up there. I'm actually not going to put the full 4 ounces in because I'm just not sure. Oh, look at that. It's getting so soggy in the bottom. Really shouldn't do it on top of that thermo server. I just don't want it to be too greasy, if that makes sense. And I'm not familiar enough with this recipe. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop there at 0.7 and I can always add more later, right? So let's just leave it. Okay, freshly squeezed lemon juice. So lemon juice tip, you can put the lid on to stop the seeds going in, although this one doesn't look like it's got many seeds and this one's looking quite old. Borderline on not being able to be used. Remember with your lemons and stuff, you can take the outer off and freeze it. So with the peeler and put it in a glad bag. And with the inside, use your spatula. The TM31 and TM5 spatulas actually do better. Oh, my table's moving lots, isn't it? Oh well, actually it's probably because I'm on the cord back here. We're just going to guesstimate. The 1 ounce, if you're wondering, you know, if you're an Aussie here watching like I am, and you're like, oh, how do I know how much 1 ounce is? Like normally your scales will match up anyway. But if you're shopping for it, what do? Multiply by 3 and add a 0. So 1 ounce becomes 3 plus a 0 is 30 grams. Okay, that's how you can work out. So for us, that's a little bit over a tablespoon. So I'm just going to work with what I've got there. If I didn't have some very old looking lemons, I'd probably use, actually I should squeeze the other half. I'd probably use a little bit of white vinegar or apple cider vinegar. We've always got apple cider vinegar. It's something we buy in bulk. And lately I've got some of the beautiful vinegar I made the other day. For you guys, or the other week now, I've got the beautiful sultana vinegar too, which is quite cool. So that would be my backup if I didn't have lemons. And we could use lime. It's really giving you that sour, salty kind of balance, which is important in our food. Okay, 1 ounce of nutritional yeast. And that is this stuff. It's going to be about 30 grams again. So, and this stuff is floaty. I don't know if you can see, but it's like a powder. So it is actually a fair bit of nutritional yeast. Check that out. It's about 3 big tablespoons. We're not even there yet. 3.5. There you go. For reference. And as I made mention, I think I did the earlier, is store this in your, it was the chicken meatballs. That's what I made with this instead of Parmesan. Store this in your freezer, okay? So next up, airtight in your freezer. Cayenne pepper, I'm going to skip that. My family will not appreciate that. Paprika, let's put some paprika in. We've got sweet paprika, that's all we stock here. We don't worry about having the other stuff in the pantry. Next, I think, is Dijon. No, black pepper. We'll come back to that. I can squeeze that in later. Where's the Dijon? Salt. Did I skip the Dijon? I must have skipped the Dijon. Let's put in some Dijon. Must have skipped it. So, I think it's 1 teaspoon. Could be making it up. Anyway, now instead of salt, little tip. With your main meals, anything that calls for salt, if you haven't already, veggie stock is your answer. It makes the most beautiful depth of flavor. Now, I'm only putting in a teaspoon, and you're probably thinking, Lisa, you've always said, and I know I said it in the meatballs, put a tablespoon into a main meal. Reason being is it's easier to add more salt later than it is to take away, and this has nutritional yeast, which is quite salty, a bit like Parmesan, okay? Parmesan has that salty undertone. I don't want to overdo the salt, okay? So that's why. And normally, rule of thumb, if you want to know how much to use, is you can actually multiply it by 4. So if it says use 1/4 teaspoon of salt, you put in a teaspoon of salt. And usually that's still mild, okay? Because it's about a 1:7 ratio in your, actually about 1:5, sorry, in your veggie stock of salt to veggies, okay? So up to you. But I'm just going to go on the lighter side because I also don't want it to be too salty we can't eat. So on the lid, you're just going to blend this now for 1 minute on speed 7. It's going to become nice and smooth. So I will press pause on this and I'll come back to you after it has finished blending. So I'll see you in a second. Okay, so that's blended. And now what it actually tells us to do is cook the pasta. But I gave you a tip earlier about cooking your pasta in the thermoserver. So what that has done is that has actually taken over 15 minutes over our total time of our recipe off. So it means we're done in 20 minutes. Ready to put it together, put a topping on it, and put it in the oven. How cool is that? So rather than it being 20 minutes for this part and then 15 minutes for the pasta part, and maybe a bit more because you've got to actually heat that water up as well, we've shortcutted it. So I love shortcuts when it comes to thermomixing. Not only does it save you money having a Thermomix, it also saves you time. So clean the mixing bowl. I'm not going to do that. Let me show you how we're going to finish this off, because this is the beauty of multitasking it. We're using a thermoserver. Okay. Just finding somewhere to put things down. I should have cleared up a bit better. All right, so here I've got a bowl. Here I've got a simmering basket. We are now going to strain our pasta. I think it's done. That's all good. Yes, it's done. Check that out. There we go. I love pasta done in a thermoserver. It is finished. You can see that water's in there. We'll just tip that off. So I'm going to tip this into my simmering basket. When you've got a Thermomix, you don't have to have extra bits and pieces. You don't have to have a colander. You don't have to have those sorts of things. You can literally have a Thermomix, and normally I use actually the Varoma basket, the base, Varoma base, the big one, the bowl, but it's in the dishwasher. So for today, I'm using the simmering basket as a colander. So I could actually raise this up. Should have done that with this. Here goes. This is what I should do. Put that on top of it. Wow, it's not going to work today. Actually, here we go. Try the other way. Nah, okay. Ultimately, I want a second thermoserver, because what I would do is I'd sit this on top of my thermoserver. I'd sit my basket on top, and it means I can drain it without it sitting in the liquid. But I'm just destined to make a mess today on the video. You'd be fine in your kitchen. There's only a little bit of liquid left, but I can also see the whole lot wants to come in. Can you guys see how the whole lot's starting to want to fall in? And I don't want it in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go straight to, there's a little bit of liquid left, but it's not enough. This beautiful sauce, which is a whole lot of sauce. Oh, where do I show you without tipping it? This now needs to be combined with this. So I'm actually going to do it in the very container. This is going in the oven in. The very container it's going into the oven in. Does that make sense? So let's grab back this glass dish, oven-proof dish. We're going to put in there's not enough capacity in there to put it in there. So we're just going to take this and we're going to put it into here. I'm going to try and leave that water behind, that little bit of water that's left. Doesn't matter too much, just we'll make it a little runny. No, it's actually not, it's very little. It's like a tablespoon in there. I shouldn't have been so precious. All right, so look, I'll try and show you. Look at that, there's this tiny little bit in the bottom. So Thermo server, amazing for cooking pasta and white rice. Not brown rice. Throwing things on the floor. Can you tell it's a Friday afternoon? All right, let's finish up. I need to now combine this. So let's get this beautiful sauce through the pasta. It smells amazing. So cheesy smelling. There is no way someone would know that there is not cheese in that. And look at how much it made. I'm thinking that's a bucket load of sauce. I did do about 400 grams worth of pasta. And as I said, it was spirals. So it's not the mac cheese stuff. It's a little bit harder to come by, gluten-free versions. There are them out there, but it's a little bit harder to come by. So it's easier for us. We just buy in bulk as often as we can, especially when it's marked down, the spirals or the penne of the gluten-free rice-based one. So, and by the way, your normal pasta will cook exactly the same way in a thermoserver. You just got to follow the timings and make sure, for those of you who haven't seen it before, it has to be preheated. It has to have the jug boiled. Pour in a centimetre, put the lid on. Leave it for a couple of minutes while you reboil the jug with some new water if you need to. My jug's only 2 litres, so I need to re-top it up, put it on to boil again. And then you've got to work really fast. Once it comes to the boil and that jug clicks to say it's done, it's a matter of out with the preheat water, in with the pasta, on with the brand new really boiling hot water, little stir with a spoon, lid on, and don't peak. If you peak, it drops temperature too much and you don't want that. So this is actually nearly done. I'm just trying to get... Got a lot of sauce, which is amazing because that sauce is full of veggies. I'm not going to tell the kids. How cool is that? Carrot, potato, onion. I reckon you could hide a few more things in there. If you go too crazy like zucchinis and stuff, you're going to get green specks. If you peeled the zucchinis though, you probably could get away with it. All right, so now spread that out. Now it says to put a panko crumb on top. Now, number one, I don't have breadcrumbs. Number two, I don't have panko. And I think it's panko. I'll just go through and I'll check. But I certainly didn't want to spend more money on something that I wasn't going to use. So, or I was only going to use once. Here we go. 1 ounce of vegan, I keep forgetting that word, margarine. It's because I haven't used that word in so many years. Panko breadcrumbs. So they want you to combine them in a bowl. And then you're supposed to sprinkle it over the top to make the crackling on top, you know, the little crusty hard bit. But what I'm going to do instead is I'm actually going to just grab some more nutritional yeast. And I'm just going to go gentle over the top, putting that over there. So that's how I'm going to finish off mine and before it goes in the oven. And it's actually just going to cook for 30 to 40 minutes at 180 degrees, which is 375 Fahrenheit, until it's beautiful and ready to serve. And ours will just go with some broccoli straight out of our garden today. We've talked this week about, you know, getting in the garden or getting at least a bag of soil, if nothing else, and having a go at planting your own greens. There's so much you can do in just a bag of potting mix. So have a go at it. Save some money, be thrifty with your Thermomix, or if you don't have a Thermomix, I'm hoping I've shown you ways that you could actually get a Thermomix and make sure you're ahead. So we do have different payment options in Australia for getting a Thermomix. So if you want to know them, I will link them as well. But check out how to get a Thermomix on your bench. It can be for as little as under $25 a week. Sometimes we have specials and it's under $17 a week with a finance company, which means that $17, I don't know about your family, but if we ever go out on the way home for takeaway, it costs us bucket loads more than $17. So maybe it's just a simple switch for you. Switching one thing for, you know, one takeaway meal or a couple of coffees a week for a Thermomix repayment. Maybe it is that whole planning and shopping to what's in your fridge or in your pantry. Cooking to what's in your fridge and pantry, and using Cookie Do effectively to do so. How cool is it that we can actually search by the ingredient name that we're after? So when that bag of carrots looks like it needs using, search for carrots. You'll find something like this, and then you'll be looking at it going, oh, I got onion, I got potato. I can do this. And I hope I've given you the confidence as well to be able to do those swaps when you go vegan. You guys make mayonnaise. Vegan. No, can't remember. Butter. Vegan butter. We'll go with that. Margarine. That's it. It's been years since margarine's been in my life, since I was a kid. But, you know, when you see those things to go, oh, hang on. Do I need that? Do I really need that? Oh, no, I don't. I can actually swap that. So unless you are vegan, then of course you want to follow that. But otherwise, guys, I hope you've taken away a whole lot of hints and tips. Thanks for joining me today and having a bit of fun along the way. From my kitchen to yours, have a fantastic evening. Enjoy making amazing food in your Thermomix. And if I can support you with anything regarding your Thermomix, you have questions, or you want to get a TM6 on your bench and you live in Australia, reach out. I'd love to help you get one and get the most out of it. But otherwise, my name's Lisa Keegan, and thanks for joining me today. Bye for now.